Multi-million dollar maybes. We're going to talk to you this morning about what goes on in the mind of a make-believe buyer. Stay tuned.
Billy. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good. I sometimes do get a bit blown away with, we think we see unnormal every day, just when you think you've seen it all, and then you get shocked again. Talking about the inside the mind of a make-believe buyer this morning. Boy, have we got some stories.
Boy, have we got some stories, that's for sure. And, look, the thing is that no agent is immune to this. I speak with other agents regularly. I've got lots of friends that are in real estate as well, and many of them are high-end agents over in the eastern suburbs of Sydney. And I was chatting with one of them last week, actually, just had to call him about something. And I was asking him about, do you get these, buyers coming through that pretend they've got loads and loads of money and, they're going to buy these multi-million dollar properties or not, even the entry level stuff, Billy, you know that. And he was saying, yeah, I was dealing with one last week. So, and then, I did a collaboration with another very well-known real estate agent. And, we were having a chat about it as well. And he was saying the same thing. And, I've got a girlfriend who works in real estate and high-end property. She was saying the same thing. So, these buyers are out and about. We want to unpack it this morning and have a bit of a chat about it. And also, what are the things that can be done, the questions that can be asked, and what you can do to protect yourself as well. What do you reckon, Billy? You've had an experience of this firsthand on I think it was a $1.5 million property.
Yeah, it travels through all price points. There's about 95,000 real estate transactions for residential property in Sydney each year, and it does travel through all price points. It really baffles you as to what is the motive behind it. We're going to get to that. But some of the telltale signs, Lise, I mean, you always judge people, at face value, hopefully with good character to begin with, but sometimes you do sort of start to ask questions yourself. What are the things that you sort of look for?
Look, if they're tricky to make contact with, so usually it will start off via WhatsApp. That's usually how it'll start, and it's it could be a text or something like that comes through, and the number looks relatively normal. Don't think for a moment that it's going to be a call that's coming in from Nigeria or somewhere like that. Usually the number looks quite normal. And we start off having just chats. That's normally how it starts. And they're normal conversations. It's not until we start to move a little bit through the process that alarm bells are starting to go off. It's like, have you got an Australian mobile? Are we able to contact you over the phone? When they're not showing up for these inspections that we're setting. They want private inspections, and then they no show, or they want a FaceTime inspection. And again, a lot of the stuff, Billy, is really within the realms of normal. It really, that's right, it really is. But as agents, we're always asking questions. I mean, I feel like part of our job sometimes is to be part psychologist, don't you think?
Detective, part detective. It's true.
Detective/psychologist. Yeah, absolutely. But we're always asking the general questions. What is it that you're looking for? What are the not negotiables that you're after? I know some of the make-believe buyers, these, multi-millionaires in inverted commas, they're usually wanting to come through or inspect via FaceTime or WhatsApp, these very high-end properties. And for, some of the experiences that I've had, it's usually been for absolutely no other reason except in their mind, they actually do think that they are multi-millionaires. And why would that be? I think that not looking for a home, and they don't have the capacity, we very quickly learn, to be able to purchase the property. But most of them are just looking for attention in some sort of an elite circle.
Yep. I think you used a good description there before we came on air, but it's, about that validation.
It is the validation, and sometimes it can be because they want to impress a partner, that they're telling them maybe that they've got lots and lots of money. Sometimes it can just be that they've got, in their own mind, it comes from some sort of imposter syndrome, Billy. Where in
Yeah.
their own mind they've always wanted to live this life of being a multi-millionaire, and they think by inquiring on these properties and viewing them and taking it as far as they possibly can without actually exchanging on the property, it obviously just does something for them. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy is what it is. It's actually ludicrous. But I really want to draw down on it this morning, Billy, and just talk about what are the telltale signs that we know that we're looking out for, because they've gotten better over the years. There's no doubt about it, these guys and girls.
Mm.
And they come in all shapes and sizes. So, I've had everything from an elderly gentleman to a lovely young girl that had come into some inheritance, in inverted commas. She brought along her partner, and she brought along her partner's family as well. Really nice local family.
Yeah.
And then, I've had it. We had an Englishman, Billy.
Honestly, we've had it all, and I guess that you get more exposure. The more properties you're selling, the more buyers you're talking to, the more public frontage you have. It's out there. So we've just got to make sure we're sharp and we know what we're looking for, and then I guess moving on to how we deal with it and make sure our vendors are protected, because there is a lot of nerves. It's a big financial transaction for them, and obviously their biggest asset as well.
Absolutely, it is. And I think, if you're the agent that's on that listing and you have some alarm bells going off, tell your vendors early. I think that's the critical thing, just to say, look, there's something here that doesn't sit right with me. I just want to flag it with you early, just so we're right across everything. And then, give your vendor reassurance, because look, at the end of the day, we don't credit check, we don't personality check, we don't require references for any buyer that wants to purchase a property. So, what are those things that we can do to make sure that a vendor is protected? I'm always saying to not always, but in the few instances where I've had this happen, I've flagged it with my vendors, and I always say, look, don't worry, because there's so many measures that we can do to put into place. We would always make sure that those funds have cleared into our trust accounts, not a regular bank account, into our trust account before we proceed with doing an exchange. And I would always get the vendor's solicitor to do the exchange in that instance. So you've just got to make sure that you're crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's. With every transaction, right? But with the ones that are raising alarm bells, even more so, and flagging it early with your vendor.
Yeah, absolutely. And then through the buyer's process and making an offer and having that offer accepted, we do ask that they provide ID. We do ask that they provide a screenshot of their receipt once they've transferred the trust funds. There are measures like that you can ask for, but yeah, it's just really, really important to just make sure everything is as it should be. Things like ID, making sure it's not just like a Medicare card with a name, it's hopefully got some photo reference to it. Same with a bank account screenshot, making sure that the trust account details are actually on that receipt, and that the timestamp on that receipt is a payment that reflects the live conversation, because receipts can be scheduled, meaning they're set up and then cancelled, or they can be transferred to a totally different account. So you just got to make sure that sort of checked.
That's exactly right. And also, there are some telltale signs there. I mean, it's important to ask a buyer, what other properties have you been looking at? Speaking with them about who were those agents. Did you offer on that property as well? What sort of terms are you looking for? Often they'll use some buzzwords that we listen out for. Cash buyer is usually one of them. If we're selling a $15 million property and someone's got cash that they're going to be purchasing that property with, they're not just going to be walking into our office with a whole bag of cash. We can't accept that anyway. But how are they a cash buyer? What sort of work do they do? Having these general conversations. If the buyer is starting to avoid specifics or can't answer certain questions, again, just get your feelers out. Where did you look at that property? Surely if someone's gone and looked at a, 8, 10, $15 million property, they're going to remember where it was and who was that agent. Feel free to reach out to that real estate agent and have a conversation and see what their thoughts were about that prospective buyer. And then, Billy, our best friend, ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I literally live by ChatGPT. That's another great topic for our morning minutes. But ChatGPT, you can actually do a deep dive search on someone in ChatGPT and it will pull a wealth of information. Now, I would assume that if someone is buying particularly a multi-million-dollar property, you should be able to find something about that person online. Something about a business, about, a news article, an association, a social media page, something about that person where you can deep dive and just find out a little bit more information about it. But, if they don't have a solicitor, for instance, and they're purchasing a multi-million-dollar property and they don't even have a legal representative, it's those sorts of things. But certainly reaching out to other agents. I've had so many agents call me saying, hey, have you come across this person? In fact, I had this instance a few months ago. And I said, look, I have, and I do have alarm bells ringing. I would definitely be making mention of it to your vendor and just be really, really skeptical. All those things that I mentioned. Make sure funds are cleared into the trust. Make sure that, you're not giving out any personal details, and make sure that the solicitor is right across everything.
That's the best thing you can do. Open lines of communication, inform the solicitor as well, helping on the vendor side, and just keep your eyes peeled. But it doesn't happen that regularly, right? Like we are so fortunate.
No, it doesn't.
Hundreds of properties a year, and we're talking of just a couple of instances here. It's not common. We're really fortunate. We work in a beautiful, part of Sydney as well. But it's just something that's out there. Bring it to people's attention.
Oh, look, absolutely. And that's the reality of it. I mean, we are liaising with hundreds and hundreds of buyers in one capacity or another on a daily basis. You're right, Billy. Of all the transactions that we've done as an office, I can tell you now we can't even count it on one hand. But does it happen? Yes. I feel it sort of happened a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? I've lost my words. In the last few months, I feel like it's happened a little bit more regularly. But as you said, Billy, it does not happen very often, but you do just want to be careful. You want to be skeptical. And certainly if you're going to be doing a private appointment with someone who's raising alarm bells, take a colleague with you. That's really important as well. But flagging it with your vendor early on, making sure that you get absolutely everything in writing as well. Seeing if you can do a FaceTime call at the very least with them face to face. And then just asking for evidence along the way, identification, Australian mobile phone numbers if they're coming to you from overseas, evidence of finances, asking them if they're getting finance, who their broker is, or perhaps what bank they're going through, just crossing as many T's and dotting as many I's as possible. But trying to get inside that mind, I don't know. I'm just a normal girl, Bill.
No,
you can't do it. You just can't do it.
Tried. You can't, but you can take these steps.
You definitely can. Absolutely. We're here to protect the vendor, that's for sure.
Great show. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Billy. See you soon.
See you later.
Bye.